Hello, everyone. I'm gonna talk with you very, very quickly because I think I got 15 minutes and I'm already into that time about access controls. So the plan is I'm gonna get through my slides and then gonna open everything up to questions because I don't have many slides, and this way we can hopefully keep it in time. All right. So access control and Filecoin Onchain Cloud. Why? Because there's a large market of private data. But why haven't we done it yet? Because ticking all the checkboxes that those people want is hard. It's like everyone has their own thing that they want done differently. So it's a hard problem to solve for everyone. Which so what in the past we've done is, one, we look like what are the adaptations we can do globally that enable a lot of use cases, but also looking into markets and trying to identify which markets we want to target. That work is still in progress. I haven't had much time during last quarter, since last event, to get deep into it, because getting FOC working was the priority. So, but generally, there are two non-exclusive paths for achieving access control in distributed networks with distributed data. It's either client-side encryption or gated data propagation. So let's get into the first one. Client-side encryption. Data is encrypted by the client. Only parties possessing the key, so in a way, receive the key from the client, can decrypt the data. It's required because PDP itself leaks very small amounts of data, which is why you want to do encryption, right? Because if you're gonna be leaking, like, you cannot leak data that's supposedly private, and significantly reduces the amount of required trust between the client and the provider and where the data live, because the data is encrypted. Key management is a very hard issue of this approach, because essentially you're taking all the policy decisions that might be created by the client and stuffing them into key management and how you distribute those decryption keys. Additionally, it requires us, so as a high-level action item, it requires us to align on encryption envelope, so we can have intercompatibility between different approaches for key management, such that we can have key management be handled in multiple different ways, because that's going to be required for all different users. But we can create common software for all of them. So what I'm proposing is So we need to create an encryption envelope. There exists for key management in itself. When it comes to centralized solutions, there are plenty of them, from AWS to HSMs and so on. From distributed players in the space, there's one semi-mature tag that's currently going. They are in the process of releasing the 1.0, which is Lit protocol. Within our ecosystem, we have expertise on Lit through Kipo, who are working on exactly the problem that key management problem in distributed protocols. But the important part is that for key management, precise design of the key management solution very much depends on client needs, and we need to either allow people to build their own key management solutions, or we need to identify key users that we want to target with whatever key management we decide to build, or someone else decides to build in the ecosystem. But what I want us to do is enable those people who want to build those key management solutions as Kipo, like Kipo, to be able to deploy them and to be intercompatible with FOC, with Synapse, and any other API. Sorry, not API. Any other software stack that there might be. So that's why. Oh, that's weird. That's why I'm proposing, and I'm gonna get it done. That is encryption envelope. So encryption envelope is essentially a wrapper around the encrypted data. It should be the same for all encryption schemes. Should be common across key management solutions. By baseline, it should support one of two key management encryption schemes, but should be extensible to whatever encryption scheme you might need in your specialized solution, because we know that's required. We cannot cover every use case by one or two, and we cannot also mandate that everyone implements everything. Like an example would be a simple CSALT secure box and a SQL scheme as a baseline proposal of hey, support these two, because most people will be it will be acceptable for them. And so my plan is to publish an FRC on this to get something done. I have a broken slide. But what the encryption envelope would contain is the descriptor of the encryption, how is the content encrypted, so I can choose which decryptor to use. And it will also use how do I get the keys? How do I get the keys to decrypt this envelope? And that might be multiple different ways to get the keys to this envelope. But then if I can call out and to someone who knows how this key management solution works and ask them as a client or as a storage provider, I can call out to that solution and say, hey, I have a client with this passing me this data, trying to get keys to this envelope. Or as a user, I can also do the same thing, right? So the point is the data path is separate from the key management path, such that if I have the key, I can encrypt decrypt the envelope independent of the key, independent of the key management itself. So that's largely on access control through encryption. On access control through gated data propagation, the short of it is I want my data to only be accessible by X. So I don't care that it's encrypted or not. I don't want Bob and Alice to accept my data in any case. So this approach, in combination with encryption, creates strong guarantees, but on its own relies on trust, and if there's information leakage through PDP, which is suboptimal, is generous. So the additional issue around gated data propagation is if, for example, we want autonomous repair, it requires the set of people that are allowed to access the data to be greater than what user specifies and the miners that are currently storing the data. The data segment index proposal by Magic that the session just happened creates a small slot for access control metadata. I don't know how we'll be able to utilize that, but we will probably be able to utilize that or change the proposal to better allow for that. On its own, gated data propagation could utilize same or similar policies as encryption. It also supports a wider set of policies because the only answer for gated data propagation you have to have is yes or no answer. For encryption, you need the key as an answer to your query. And spectrum of user requirements is even wider for gated data propagation than encryption because generally, like essentially, encryption limits some use cases. And for gated data propagation, the set of use cases is wider, and thus set of requirements from users is even wider. So my tentative plans for Q1 2026 in this aspect is to continue on market research, try to understand what are the key use cases that we can provide access control for, and because without guidance of those use cases, we won't design something that's good and that's actually applicable to users. Define the encryption envelope and FRC it such that we can discuss it, we can start implementing it, and so that's also part of my effort to support Kipo in what they are doing, which is trying to bring a form of access control into FOC through Kipo and Lit. So we don't want to bless a single key management solution because, as I said, it's a complex problem with super wide set of solutions. So by creating the encryption envelope, we enable others to create those key management solutions. And if access control turns out to be a killer feature that we need to ship, then do more. But right now, I don't have that strong signal. Yeah, any questions?
The encryption envelope idea, I didn't get. It's more like about the format of the data because
Yes.
or is like also a protocol interface that allow you to separate encryption and key management, or it's just about the data?
It's about the data, right? So one of my sites got cut off. Essentially, what's contained in the encryption envelope is what encryption scheme I'm using and what key management schemes I'm using and the metadata they might need, right? And then it says following is encrypted data, right? That's encrypted using the encryption scheme mentioned at the start of the envelope.
Yeah. So I have a small question and then a big question. The small one is just like when you're thinking about key location addressing, are you thinking about using DIDs? Because that seems to be a good...
Yeah, so that's one of the spectrum, one of the options for both key management, for authenticating users towards key management or access control. Like I don't have a strong opinion on any of them because we should support both someone using AWS key management solution and DIDs through, I don't know, UCANs or DIDs through certificates. Like I don't have a strong, like it depends very much what the user needs.
Yeah, I guess that may answer the second question, which is, do you feel that this is big enough to include a kind of capability-based system as opposed to like an access control list?
So like you definitely could use a capability-based system for this. The problem is it's not clear what's the source of the capability, which then makes the whole capability management thing much different. Capability-based systems are easier when you have a very defined active source of the capability, and get progressively more complex as the place which verifies the capability gets further away from the source of the capability. And in this case, the source de facto is the client, right? But the person who verifies the capability is the service provider. So capabilities-based system gets quite complex.
Would you be okay if I introduce you to people sort of within the ecosystem working on that problem?
Yeah, of course.
Great, because it would be great to have that as part of this.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I'm just curious about something you said at the end there, which was that you hadn't heard enough feedback from users that access control was a requirement to work on it.
I know it's a requirement for them, right? But we cannot target general access control use case. I need if we were to target, we need a very clear signal of like, I want this exact access control scheme, because like every user wants their own, like it's very tight, like majority of access control schemes are very tailor-made towards the use case. So you cannot have one general access control scheme. So like I can implement something, but without very thorough market research and decision of like we're targeting this use case, we cannot really implement anything specific.
Yeah, so I guess my specific question is, because myself and a lot of people who talk to users on a regular basis, like this is the #1 request we get. What specifically do you need to see from the product and customer success folks who are talking to customers in order to know what you need?
Yeah. So what I would love to hear is like my major pathway to getting that feedback is Tim. So if you go to Tim and tell him, hey, we have this killer customer set, right? And they need access control for this set of users done in this way, we can implement something. We can work with Kipo to implement something. But so what I'm proposing right now is laying the groundwork to make that work very fast and easy.
So this is sorry about that. So what you're talking about here is mostly encryption is from access control. And you said before that it's most access controls, like it's a use case by use case basis. Like a stack. Further, what he's saying before is like, we talk to customers, most of them, they see the gold standard of the hyperscalers in terms of read-write access and, role-based access control. Is there anything like, have you done anything about, authorization tokens and that world, or is it just you were focusing purely on encryption?
Okay, you were cutting out a bit. I cut the last part, which is authorization tokens versus encryption. So like, yeah, so that's why I have the differentiator of gated access versus encryption, because in my opinion, we need encryption either way. We can definitely do gated access as well.
So there is room in the future for authorization tokens too, like a biscuits approach or something
Yes,
like that.
definitely, right?
Yeah. Okay. Great. Thank you.
Sorry. In like the baseline support that you're kind of proposing is like, hey, here's a foundation. You can build more customized things on top in the future, but like baseline is support for BYO access key supported, or is that that's like, we need more information. We need to know exactly what type of access key or in what world or what you want to do with it, or is the baseline, here's some baseline support?
Yeah. So for me, currently the baseline I want to create is, and like it's very much Q1 thing, right? Let's get something done to unblock people. It is get the encryption envelope layer done so people can start using and not create their own solutions for encryption itself. And for access-based gated control, we can do something. I don't have a high-level plan. I think Magic is also looking. Is Magic in the room? Yeah, so Magic is also looking at doing gated access control for Curio itself. So we should for sure combine forces in that regard because they are also interested in it.
So, are you familiar with Cozy and C509?
Sorry, couldn't hear you.
Are you familiar with Cozy and C509?
No, I'm not.
Great. We should just use those.
Okay.
There's absolutely no profit in us inventing a new envelope format.
If they have good envelope format, that's amazing because I've spent a bunch of time and I couldn't find anything good. So if you can,
I'll show you the spec, but the TLDR is it's developed in the IETF. It's based on CBOR, which a ton of the rest of our stack is. It uses DIDs, it uses URNs, it's compatible with all of the big SAS and CASB key managers. It just works.
I would love to look at it because I don't want something opinionated, right? So like I don't know how opinionated they are. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, people at the IETF are always opinionated, but I'll show you it because I'm pretty sure it's the right answer.
Yeah, or still pieces of it, right?
Yeah, I just want to add a line that I didn't see discussed. Compatibility of access control with a permissionless network. Like this is something that I hope is discussed as a top level concern, because at the end of the day, no matter what kind of access control you implement, the node that you don't have control over because it permissionlessly joined the network might simply not run your access control, and then you're back to square one. And this is something that I don't see discussed enough as a constraint.
Yeah. So to answer this, that's why my primary consideration is encryption first. Because gated access control only works when you have an established, in my opinion, only works when you have an established relationship with the provider. That's why my primary goal is to get encryption-based access control first and stack gated control on top of it.
And on that note, encryption in general, especially if you mix in like newer schemes like post and pre-quantum encryption and stuff like that, are generally by the likes of NIST supposed to be guaranteed for 50 years. And this is also something that we are not like exposing, that hey, if we do this encryption right, then you're pretty much safe until your lifetime.
Yeah. Although it's so hard to convince of people of that, so Yeah. Any more?
Any other question? Good. All right.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Kua.